I think the leadership should take responsibility and be able to come out, speak to this youth, and even pass a message to them. There is a way to advise the youth to come out of those problems and be able to guide them in terms of how do you get focused in life. Maybe the government should come up with ways in which they can support the initiatives like this, as what Mohammed has started, so that youth can focus their energies to these activities. And that way you will eliminate any problems in society.
The eldest son of Kenya's President William Samoei Ruto, Nick Ruto, has lived most of his life in the public eye, whether he chose it or not. This is the untold story of Nick Ruto.
Ninyi mmepatia kijana wangu bibi. So last year in January tulikuja hapa Laikipia, tukalipa mahari na sasa tumebarikiwa. Sasa mimi nimepata mjukuu wa kutoka na huku Laikipia. Unaona vile mambo inaendelea, na mimi nasikia huku kwenu mahari inalipwa kila siku. Ikijaribu kwenda chini unaulizwa tena hello.
Nick Ruto was born into a family already on its way to power. His father, William Ruto, began as a grassroots politician, a man who famously sold chicken on a roadside, rising through the turbulent world of Kenyan politics to become the world's deputy president and later its head of state. His mother, Rachel Ruto, is known for her deep faith in philanthropy, especially through her Joyful Women organization, a network supporting women's savings groups across the country. Nick grew up in an environment that blended religious discipline with political ambition. Little is publicly documented about his early childhood, and perhaps deliberately so. But those close to the family describe a structured upbringing, one that valued education, faith, and family loyalty. Growing up in the shadow of an increasingly powerful father was both a blessing and a burden. While many Kenyan children walked miles to school, Nick attended some of the country's most reputable institutions. He was shielded from public view, even as his father's name began to dominate headlines. By the time William Ruto became deputy president in 2013, Nick was already a young man, poised, quiet, and already walking the path that will define him, the law. Nick Ruto's academic journey mirrors the aspiration of Kenya's elite, rigorous, prestigious, and purpose-driven. He studied law at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, one of the region's leading private universities. There, he immersed himself in legal theory and governance, preparing for a future that will bridge law, politics, and business. After completing his undergraduate studies, Nick joined the Kenya School of Law, the country's official gateway to the bar. In February 2019, he achieved a significant milestone, admission as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Photos from that day circulated widely online. Nick standing beside his proud parents, robed and smiling, the president's son sworn to uphold justice and the rule of law. It was a defining moment, both personal and political. In a country where many question the rule of law, the image of the president's son joining the legal profession carried symbolic weight. It spoke of continuity, a family invested not just in power, but in institutions. Following his admission, Nick joined Dentons, Hamilton, Harrison, and Matthews, one of Kenya's oldest and most respected law firms. The firm, more than a century old, has represented multinational corporations and high-profile clients, including government agencies. Within its marble halls and polished boardrooms, Nick transitioned from being the son of a powerful man to a young lawyer navigating Kenya's corporate legal world. Colleagues describe him as reserved but professional, rarely giving interviews and maintaining a low profile despite the media attention surrounding his family. For Nick, the law was both a profession and a shield, a way to build a career independent of his father's political machinery. But in Kenya, separating family from politics is never simple. In recent years, Nick has stepped into Kenya's business landscape. a world as lucrative as it is opaque. Media investigations have linked him to several ventures in hospitality, event management, and technology. One of his most publicized enterprises is a high-end restaurant in Westlands, Nairobi's bustling business district. Reports describe it as a lavish establishment catering to Kenya's upper class, a symbol of Nairobi's fast-growing luxury scene. The restaurant, allegedly branded under his management, has hosted political figures, artists, and foreign investors. Beyond hospitality, Nick is said to have interest in the events industry. An entertainment company associated with him has organized major concerts, including performances by international artists like Davido, positioning him within Kenya's youthful entertainment-driven market. There are also reports of an online ticketing platform, Ticket Raha, created to streamline event access across Kenya. Whether or not he directly owns it, its proximity to his circle underscores his growing involvement in digital business. Yet, these ventures have not escaped scrutiny. A whistleblower once claimed that Nick owned luxury vehicles, including a Lexus LX600, through defunct shell companies. Another report alleged that some of his businesses may have benefited from proximity to state power, hinting at possible conflicts of interest. Nick has never publicly addressed these claims, and as with many high-profile figures in Kenya, the line between personal enterprise and political patronage remains blurred. Still, for a young lawyer barely in his 30s, Nick's portfolio suggests ambition and reach, the beginning of an empire that mirrors the one his father has built in politics. Nick RUTO married Evelyn Chemtai in a traditional Kalenjin Koito ceremony on January 15, 2022, at Windy Ridge in Karen, Nairobi. His father, William Samoei RUTO, publicly thanked the people of Laikipia County for giving his son a wife and said that the family was blessed with a grandchild from the union. On January 8, 2023, President William Ruto announced that he and his wife Rachel Ruto had become grandparents, meaning Nick RUTO and his wife Evelyn had welcomed a child. The gender and further details of the child, such as the name and exact date of birth, were not publicly revealed at the time.
I think the leadership should take responsibility and be able to come out, speak to this youth, and even pass a message to them. There is a way to advise the youth to come out of those problems and be able to guide them in terms of how do you get focused in life. Maybe the government should come up with ways in which they can support the initiatives like this, as what Mohammed has started.